right. Inside information. They have opened the door into the mountain, the side door. And now it is time for Bilbo to do the job that he was hired for, to go in and do some burglary. Although, as he points out, he has already done an awful lot for the company and probably deserves a share of the gold, even without what he's about to do. But he very bravely goes and does it. And I just wanted to point out, again, Bilbo has been gradually becoming more and more Tookish as we go throughout the story. Can you imagine Bilbo Baggins from Chapter 1 who fainted at the mere mention of people in the company maybe not making it back home, at the mere mention of a dragon? Can you imagine him going by himself into the dragon's lair? No, he's changed a lot. He's gone through a lot. He's become much braver. And his Took side has definitely become a lot more prevalent in his personality. So there's some really, really cool moments in this chapter. So he goes into this dark tunnel. It's very well made, dwarven craftsmanship, and talks about how he fought the real battle in the tunnel alone. And you really want to pay in Tolkien's work to superlatives, to things that are like the most of something. It was at this point that Bilbo stopped. Going on from there was the bravest thing he ever did. Braver than facing Gollum, braver than rescuing the dwarves from the spiders, from the elves. This is the bravest thing he did. And I think it is interesting that he did it by himself. It's, again, his most transformative moments happened by himself. And I think that sometimes it can feel like we're fighting our battles alone in real life. But I do want to say that doesn't have to be the case. In this case, Bilbo wasn't able to ask for help, but in real life, you can always ask for help. So please do that if you ever feel like you are fighting your battle by yourself. But that did give him the room to be the bravest he ever did, to become perhaps the Hobbit he was meant to be, you could say. So he goes through the tunnel, comes into the main hall of Erebor, of the dragon's lair, sees all the treasure. He is just shocked by the treasure. And I think it's interesting to think about how Bilbo is affected by the treasure. We'll see how the dwarves are affected by the treasure, and there's really no surprises in how the dwarves are affected by the treasure. But here we have Bilbo, whose priority, his focus has always been on getting home and having his eggs and bacon and sitting by the fire. But here's what it says when he sees the treasure for the first time. To say that Bilbo's breath was taken away is no description at all. There are no words left to express his staggerment, since men changed the language that they learned of elves in the days when all the world was wonderful. Bilbo had heard tell and sing of dragon hoards before, but the splendor, the lust, the glory of such treasure had never yet come to him. Whenever Tolkien uses the word lust, is not a good thing. Oftentimes it's used in a sexual context nowadays, but here it's like an unholy desire. So if you have a lust for treasure, it's not good. It's not good at all. His heart was filled and pierced with enchantment and with the desire of dwarves, which has never been his deal. He's never really cared about the treasure. Like he's on this adventure that supposedly the goal is to get the treasure back, but it's never really been his priority. He gazed motionless, almost forgetting the frightful guardian at the gold beyond price and count. So the question is this just natural greed that is coming on Bilbo, or is there some magic? And I do think that there is the hint that there is some magic. It uses the word enchantment. Very, very magical language there. And it will use the same word enchantment later on, talking with the dwarves. And there is this idea that the dragon has had a magical effect, not only on the surrounding land, you remember the desolation of Smog, but also on this treasure. And it's not a positive magical effect. So it's a little bit scary that even Bilbo is being affected by this. So Bilbo takes a cup, takes it back to the dwarves. They're all happy, but this wakes the dragon up. We have some Beowulfian parallels with this dragon being awakened by a cup being taken from his hoard. He goes and rips apart the mountainside looking for them. They hide. Really cool moment with Thorin being willing to sacrifice himself, protecting a couple of the group. Bilbo feeling Killy, I believe. Won't take all of us. He says he's willing to be taken, even though he's the king, he's the leader. But then it comes down to it, and they just don't know what to do. So Bilbo comes back down and faces the dragon. He's hoping to find him asleep again. It's not the case. That conversation between Bilbo and the dragon is one of the coolest parts of the book, I think. Bilbo is very clever until he's not. The dragon is the dragon. I don't know what else to say about that. Dragons in Tolkien tend to be very cunning. They tend to be very malicious, and we definitely see that. But the way that Bilbo introduces himself, I think, bears some talking about. So instead of giving the dragon his name, which is never a good idea to give a dragon your real name in real life as well as in fantasy, don't always give your information out. Pro tip. But Bilbo introduces himself with riddles. We get more riddling from Bilbo. So more of his Tookish side is coming out. I come from under the hills, and over the hills my paths led, and through the air I am he that walks unseen. Very simple. He came from a hobbit hole under the hill, going over mountains, under mountains, through the air. Got the lift from the eagles. He's the clue finder, the web cutter, the stinging fly. I was chosen for the lucky number. That whole experience with the spiders, and then why he's number 14 to make the company not have an unlucky number of people in it, not have 13 people in it. I am he that buries his friends alive and drowns them, draws them alive again from water. Talked about that a couple chapters ago with the river, the barrels. Came from the end of a bag. His house is called Bag End, but no bag went over me. That could be talking about the trolls who put all the dwarves in the bags, right? They put the bags up, but not Bilbo. He was never put into a bag. Friend of bears, Beorn, guest of eagles, ring wearer, winner, and luck wearer. I am barrel rider. So he does all these things introducing himself. And he's riddling with this dragon, which is definitely a very Tookish thing to do. In my opinion, his most Tookish moment. And here's where I want to talk about. We've talked about him becoming more and more Tookish and that being a good thing. In this case, I think when he's like 100% Took for a moment, I think it actually ends up being a bad thing. You'll remember at the very end, he kind of does a last little tease against the dragon, which causes the dragon to breathe fire after him and almost kills Bilbo. So when he's at his most Tookish, he's reckless. He takes his courage to the extreme, becoming reckless, which isn't a good thing. You want to have balance. You want to be brave, but you want to be practical as well. So I think we're finally seeing that there needs to be this balance between Bilbo's Baggin side and his Took side. And I think that could definitely relate to us. I think we all have multiple sides to us. Maybe we have a brave side and a practical side, just like Bilbo. We have to keep it in balance. And other dynamics within our personalities as well. We have to keep in balance. So we finally met the dragon. We talked to the dragon. It was fun. It was scary. Let's see what happens in the next chapter.